It always surprises me how many landlords don't look at their listing where, I'll meet them at a conference or at a meetup and they'll ask me a question and I'm like, okay, cool. Let's pull up your listing. And they're like, oh no, I didn't know that was my cover photo. Or, oh wait, I do have Wi-Fi and it's not showing I have Wi-Fi. This is literally like you get dressed and then, you're getting ready for a date or the night out, whatever it is. Take a look in the mirror and make sure that your listing looks like what you want it to look like.
Welcome to the Landlord Diaries, where we talk about midterm rentals and the opportunities behind them. We'll share landlord stories, talk about maximizing investment potential, and discuss how to live the very best landlord life. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Furnished Finder, the leader and largest online marketplace for midterm rentals. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Landlord Diaries. Thank you so much for joining us again. We have one of those unique episodes where it's just Katie and I coaching you on one of our fantastic internal tools, which is our calendar. So we're going to walk you through everything calendar. But what we haven't done in a while is taken the opportunity to remind you of why Katie and I are the Furnished Finder podcast host, because we're in the trenches with you guys. We're midterm rental operators ourselves. So quick reminder, Kelly Bailey here. I've been a host on Furnished Finder for 4 years and 8 months now. And we have 5 midterm rentals that we own that we've bought during that time period. 4 of them are 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. 1 of them is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home. And 2 of them are midterm rental ADUs in the backyard of 2 of those homes. And then we have 1 that is a co-host listing. So just some fun facts. I went ahead and researched from 2024 how our midterm rental portfolio did. We had over 95% occupancy for all of our properties and 5 of them with 100% occupancy. 4 of my 8 rentals had 100% of their bookings from Furnished Finder in 2024, and the rest were around a 50-50 split between Furnished Finder and Airbnb. So there's a ton of opportunity in this market, and I just wanted to challenge you. Think outside the box. Maybe you have a room that you want to add, or an ADU in the backyard, or an unused room that you want to turn into a rental. We are 2 ADUs. One of them is 300 square feet, and it has no washer dryer, no dishwasher. It's a small space, and it did fantastic in 2024. So that's my story. Katie, let's hear your midterm rental, furnished rental story.
All right. Well, I really got into the midterm furnished rentals after starting working at Furnished Finder. It kind of opened my eyes. I was interested in real estate. We had 1 long-term rental that was our old house that we lived in as a family. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I could do this monthly furnished rental thing. Like, this is a great balance between the cash flow and the income we wanted, and not having to do the short-term rental thing with the turnovers all of the time. So we have currently, when I say we, me and my family, we have 13 midterm rentals, a mixture of purchased and arbitrage, where we work with partners. So it's been a really great little family business for us. I get to work with my mom and my brother and my sister and my husband on it. So it's something that we all hope can be something that turns generational. But yeah, we've also had fantastic occupancy, and a strong calendar is a really, really big part of that. So that's why we are here today, is to talk about calendar, because a calendar management and strategy is just, it's a really, really big component of your success with monthly furnished rentals. And at Furnished Finder, we recognize that. And we know that the number one request that we have heard from landlords over the past few years has been, can you please give me a more sophisticated calendar? Can you please give me a calendar that I can block dates, that I can mark future reservations, right? And we heard you, and we are so excited to announce that we have a brand new calendar. It is here. So now on this episode, we're going to talk about 2 things. First of all, how to use the calendar within Furnished Finder, why it matters, but then also, like, what are some strategies that you can use as a midterm rental landlord to keep your occupancy full, because that's what we all want at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. So a couple things for keeping your calendar optimized. If your calendar isn't up to date, why does that matter? Because tenants can't find you. A guest move-in date is one of the primary search methods and sort features on the Furnished Finder map, and your property will appear in more search results. So if you want to match with more tenants, make sure that you have a strong calendar management system. And guess what? It's not complicated. Furnished Finder makes it very easy. So let's get into how it works, what are the key features of the calendar, and how simple it is, Katie.
Yeah, I mean, guys, an accurate calendar is like turning on your porch light and telling potential renters that you are like open and ready to host them. So it's huge. So let's talk about it. Like you said, Kelly. So in the past, our calendar was very simplistic. It was tell us when you're available, right? Select the date that your property is available. But what we heard from you landlords is that you might have dates that are blocked in the future. You might have future reservations coming up. And we can't quite put it so simply as tell us your availability date. So we have reworked the calendar, but I think it is still simplistic and manageable, but in like a much more functional way. So there's two aspects of your calendar. First thing is you're going to tell us your minimum stay, right? We always recommend a 30-day or 1 month minimum stay, but sometimes you might have an HOA or regulations in your area or just your preference that makes it so you have a 3-month minimum stay or a 6-month minimum stay. So you're going to enter that right on your calendar page. Then you're going to enter in any bookings or dates that you have where your property is already spoken for. Okay. Maybe that is actually a reservation that you have from a Furnished Finder traveler. Maybe that is when you have family in town. Maybe it's when you're doing scheduled maintenance that might be a little bit invasive. Whatever it is where your property is not available. You tell us those two things, and we're going to figure out when your property is available automatically and publish that on your listing. A couple quick tips here, guys. First of all, if you have a tenant in your property right now, go ahead, hop in your calendar and add their stay, right? Just add it as of today and then mark their move out date. You can always change their move out date later if they extend or they change, as midterm rental tenants often do. The other thing is, don't worry about putting things on there that aren't going to make your property unavailable. You only want to add things to your Furnished Finder calendar if they're going to make your property unavailable to a tenant, because we're going to adjust your availability based off of that.
So just a reminder, it's so simple. All you need to do is put in your minimum stay and what dates are not available. So I've got an example personally from my rentals. We had a guy that said he was a contractor and was just going to be with us for a couple months, but didn't know how long the project was going to be. He ended up staying with us for over a year. So what I do is I just take that block date. As he gives me the new move out date, I update that block date. And then I just ask for a 30-day notice. Now I have that final date that I'm ready to start taking reservations. And if someone inquired during the process, it's okay. I can circle back to him and ask, hey, how's your stay going? I've got an interested party. Are you planning to extend? And that helps solidify your extensions earlier sometimes.
Yeah, we really want to keep the flexibility open for landlords because we know that you run your businesses in different ways. Some tenants extend. I mean, they often do. Some tenants like month to month, some more have a set stay. So we want to keep this flexible. The most important thing is really to ensure that whatever you have on your calendar is as accurate and up to date as possible. That is going to help us match you with the best leads possible and ensure that these travelers that reach out to you via direct message on Furnished Finder or booking request or phone are the best fits for you. So it's the first thing, right? Are you available for my dates? We want to make sure that we're getting everybody accurate information to start off on the right foot.
Yep.
The last thing that we have implemented with the new calendar is a linking system with Airbnb and VRBO. We know a lot of people post their properties on multiple sites. I think that's fantastic, right? Like no harm in that. Just, wherever you can get your travelers is great. just one thing to know is when you go through this process, it is a linking process. So what it's going to do on your Furnished Finder calendar is, let's say you get a short-term rental booking on Airbnb over the July 4th weekend, right? And you do maybe some short-term rentals and some midterm rentals. If you get a booking on your Airbnb calendar and you have linked the two, it's going to automatically block those dates on your Furnished Finder calendar to try to remove that step from your workflow for you. Now, what it won't do is if you insert a booking or a blocked date on your Furnished Finder calendar, it's not going to push it to your Airbnb calendar. We want to make sure that we're not creating any issues, we're not creating any redundancies. So this is something that we are looking to explore in the future. However, right now it truly is an import of those bookings from Airbnb and VRBO via an iCal link. Now, in the future, we might be able to integrate with other systems and property management platforms as well. But right now, we just want to focus on making sure everything is working fantastically. So we have tested those two platforms and feel really good about you guys linking your listings there if that is something that fits your business.
Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Furnished Finder, the ultimate platform for hassle-free midterm rentals. Whether you're a seasoned landlord or just getting started, Furnished Finder has everything you need to find your next tenant. With Furnished Finder, you can say goodbye to booking fees, markups, and commissions, and hello to direct bookings. If you're ready to experience all the benefits renting your property for 30 days or more, head over to furnishedfinder.com where you can list your property for one low annual price. We make it easy to get started.
The nice thing about Furnished Finder is you typically have 4 bookings a year because we've got a 93-day average stay. So it's super easy to add your property manually to a property management system. So don't let that slow you down. So next conversation, that's a big one. Common scheduling mistakes that can affect your bookings and occupancy. Now that you know how to work the calendar, let's make sure you know what not to do. So forgetting to add or update a block date, that's an important one. So add it to your routine. Whatever your practices are, what I do is after I have the lease signed, we collect all the move-in fees. Now it's time for me to go to Furnished Finder and update my calendar. So that's how I do it. Katie, what's the next step in common scheduling mistakes?
Yeah, we want to make sure that everybody knows to really resist the temptation to hide your listing. I have talked to so many landlords who say, well, I have a 6-month booking right now, so I've hidden my listing. And you can do this from the calendar page. However, I want everybody to just not touch that button unless you really, really, really have to, okay? Because you don't know who is going to reach out to you and say, hey, I'm looking for somewhere 6 months from now. Or a parent who's saying, my son or daughter is going to be a grad student or is going to be doing an internship, and I'm trying to get a handle on the housing before it gets competitive, right? Or maybe someone reaches out to you and says, hey, I'm a corporate housing provider and I love your property. I see it's unavailable, but can I keep you on my list? Right? Furnished Finder is about these relationships, and it's about leads, and it's about communication. So when you hide your listing, you are taking yourself off the table. So update your calendar, keep your property visible, please. I see so many people do it, and it's taking yourself out of the running for even those relationships to start, or for someone to, maybe they can't stay at your property now, but it's a travel nurse and they favorited your property and they meet another travel nurse in 6 months and they're looking in the same spot because they're coming into the hospital or facility, and they say, oh, you know what? I couldn't stay this place, but I really liked this listing. Pass it on, right? Keep yourself out there.
That's a fantastic example. I love that. So the last one for common scheduling mistakes is going to be letting your listing expire when you have a longer booking. We already know Furnished Finder is a great value. It's so minimal what you pay compared to your potential income on Furnished Finder. It actually, we figured out is 55 times your investment is the potential you have on your return with Furnished Finder. So why do you want to go ahead and take a 6-month booking and then keep your listing active versus letting it expire is your tenure on Furnished Finder is tied to that. Your professionalism, when someone is looking at your properties and they see some are available, some aren't available, it gets a little confusing. So if they see, oh, Kelly has 8 midterm rentals, she's got 5-star reviews, this is who I want to stay with. It shows that professionalism by keeping your listing live, and then access to those landlord tools for people searching for the future that want to book with you.
Yep. And even if you only have the one property, right? Even if you only have one property and you're thinking, well, if my property's full for the next 6 months and my listing expires in 2 weeks, why would I keep paying for the next 6 months? Well, there's so many reasons. There's so many reasons. Let's say Kelly and I are in the same market and I get a lead and I say, actually, you know what? I'm full for a while, but I know Kelly is a great landlord and has a comparable property. Let me send you to them, right? And then Kelly is bound to return the favor. It's those relationships. Midterm rentals are a relationship process. You might get a housing specialist that reaches out to you. And same thing, you say, my property is not available right now, but I would love it if you kept me on your list. Right? You have the opportunity to keep developing those things and keep developing your business. And even if you have one rental, you have a business. So it keeps you moving yourself forward and advancing yourself. So, guys, that's huge. That's huge. I see so many landlords just reduce their potential by hiding their listing or letting their listing lapse. So, okay, now we get to get into the strategy part. We've spent this first half talking about really like the tactics of how do you manage this brand new calendar functionality that we've made, right? What are the best practices? What do you need to make sure you do and don't do? And now we get to talk a little bit more high level about let's talk about how you're just going to keep your calendar full, right? Because as landlords, we want a full calendar. If we have vacant properties, we are not doing what we want to be doing. So let's talk about this. We've got some quick strategies we're going to roll through. And guys, if you have a notebook or you want to open the notes app on your phone, this is the time, because this is where you're going to get some really good actionable steps on this strategy. So let's pivot here. The first thing is to have smart availability. Tell me what you think about this.
Yeah, smart availability is super important. Try to keep your calendar as open as possible. So that's easy. Just don't block it unless there is a booking or something that you have to shut down the property for. Think carefully when considering future reservations. I just had a friend ask me, she said, hey, I don't have my, I have my next availability, but I have someone inquiring about a potential stay in December of next year. It's like, ooh, you could say yes because, it is a booking for 3 months or so. But if you say, hey, let's touch base, let's stay in touch and touch base as it gets closer to those dates, well, now you have the opportunity to book now, see how long that current guest is going to stay for, and then circle back to that person that is interested in December of next year. Because reminder, my properties from 2024, 5 of them are rented for over a year. So you get long bookings.
Midterm rentals have a very short crystal ball period, right? And you want to apply that to your calendars. Like if you accept a booking for 2 months from now you have to find a tenant who's only looking for a 2-month stay. So just be careful what you lock yourself into and make sure that whatever strategy you land on there fits well with you. My travelers tend to stay a little bit less or a little bit shorter time, at least not a year like Kelly. But it's still important that you go, let's weigh the pros and cons here and just communicate with the tenant. Say, hey, I don't usually book that far out. Are you comfortable waiting? And let them know, usually people are looking for properties about a month in advance. So I know you might be thinking you need to plan for 6 months from now, but if you're comfortable waiting, we should be able to find you a place to be. So, okay. And also remember, obviously, that lease extensions are common. Okay. Flexibility. I want to talk about making sure that you're not missing out on bookings that could be very good for your property. The first thing here is pets, right? I know a lot of landlords who the second that I mentioned, well, are you open to pets? Do you allow pets? I can literally see their blood pressure rise, and I get it. Pets have a bad reputation in rentals for being destructive. However, we let you take a pet fee or a pet deposit, or you could ask questions about the pet, right? What are your pet's habits? Does it go outside? I actually had a tenant reach out to me very recently, and she was like, I want my husband to come visit me probably about half the time, but when we're all together, we have 4 dogs. And my gut was like, that's too many dogs. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Tell me more what your dog's lives look like. Like, do you have 4 1-year-old border collies? Or do we have like some seniors who just nap all day? Like, tell me a little bit more. But we allow you to make those decisions. So I just want everybody to feel really empowered and feel like you don't have to exclude yourself right away. Another thing here is out-feeing yourself, right? The average non-refundable deposit on Furnished Finder is $500 for non-refundable. The average refundable is $1,000. You guys, that is a lot. That is a lot. Make sure you are not out-feeing yourself. Okay. Fees are very expensive for midterm travelers. And yes, you want yourself covered. You have a business to run, but make sure that you are not taking yourself out of the running as soon as someone looks at your deposits and fees.
Hey landlords, are you ready to level up your rental game and simplify your midterm rental business? Well, get ready to meet your new best friend, KeyCheck. KeyCheck is your all-in-one solution for stress-free property management. With tenant-paid screenings, online rent payment processing, custom lease creation, and a suite of incredible landlord tools, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. No more chasing down checks or sifting through piles of applications. KeyCheck helps you organize and manage all things landlording in a simple and efficient way. Make landlord life a breeze with KeyCheck, the game changer for modern property owners. Visit keycheck.com to unlock the power of stress-free property management and take your rental business to new heights.
So another tip of how to maximize your bookings and your occupancy is to make sure and preview your listing through the eyes of a traveler. That's one of the first things I do when I add a listing. It's also one of the first things I do when I'm coming up within 30 to 60 days of my next availability. So why is this so important? There's over 4 million housing searches and 20 million site visits per month. So you want to keep your listing in tip-top shape, and that is taken care of in a couple ways. You want to make sure that all the details are filled out on your listing. Walk through it. Make sure your main photo and all of your photos are there. Make sure you're capturing the full idea of what your property has to offer. Complete your landlord profile to build rapport with those tenants that want to, well, I like the property, but who's my landlord? Am I going to have a good stay? Complete that landlord profile and help them out. Utilities and Wi-Fi, it's expected that they're included in a midterm rental. So if that's not what you're offering, you need to make sure and communicate that well in your description. Any amenities that need to be highlighted better, such as a washer dryer, internet speed, parking, make sure all of that is in your listing. Anything you want to add, Katie?
This is like looking in a mirror after you get dressed to me. And it always surprises me how many landlords don't look at their listing where, I'll meet them at a conference or at a meetup and they'll ask me a question and I'm like, okay, cool. Let's pull up your listing. And they're like, oh no, I didn't know that was my cover photo. Or, oh wait, I do have Wi-Fi and it's not showing I have Wi-Fi. This is literally like you get dressed and then, you're getting ready for a date or the night out, whatever it is. Take a look in the mirror and make sure that your listing looks like what you want it to look like. Right. And I think this is particularly important to look at your listing through the eyes of the traveler type that you are trying to accommodate. There are certain properties. I know Kelly has a lot of properties that could suit anyone from a travel medical professional all the way through a digital nomad or corporate traveler or a snowbird. Hers are very, very versatile, right? Mine are a little bit more niche where some of them are studios right by the hospital where I'm really going after those medical professionals or things like that, right? Well, then I want to look at it not as Katie, but I want to look at it as a traveling medical provider, right? Do you have the things that I'm looking for, right? And if not, like, is that reflected in the price or whatnot, right? So just take them a minute and look at that through your eyes and make sure your listing is reflecting what you want it to reflect.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, Katie, but I actually change mine pretty frequently. I was like, oh, wow, it still says that. I need to update it. So it's always good to review your listing throughout the year, especially when you have an availability coming up.
Yeah, it's an art, not a science. And the listing performance panel, if you guys have not discovered the listing performance panel, it is also brand new. It's right on your landlord dashboard and it's going to give you so much amazing data. It's like it's a business owner's dream, right? Because you can see how many views you've gotten, how many favorites, how many booking requests, how many contacts. It's going to show you so much. So you can play with things. You can try a different photo and see if your numbers go up. Try a different headline, move your price around, right? And just see how your numbers fluctuate. That was a really, really exciting update we made earlier this year.
So we have two more to cover in how to maximize your bookings and occupancy with your calendar strategies, and communication habits is one of those. So when you have someone that says, "Hey, I'm interested," how quickly are you responding to them? Do they have the opportunity to call you, or did you decide not to provide your phone number? Did you say, "Yeah, it's available," or did you say, "I'm a 5-star host on Furnished Finder. I have 8 midterm rentals. I would love the opportunity to host you. What questions do you have about the property?" Make it more personalized so that they have that connection and say, "Oh, this is a professional landlord I want to connect with." Katie, anything you want to add to this section?
Yeah, make sure you're utilizing the Furnished Finder message templates if that's something that's helpful for you. You can spend some time crafting how you really want your reply to be, and then you can save it as a template. And then also communicate what your booking process looks like so you're being transparent, and let them know, hey, do you have any questions? If not, I'd love to get started securing the property for you. I go through a tenant screening and then we do a digital lease and I have you, pay the security deposit online or whatever your process is. Reminder that we have all these Furnished Finder landlord tools and KeyCheck to help you with that. But communicate that, right? Like let everybody know what's going to happen here if they move forward.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, for this section, a lot of midterm rental, monthly furnished rental operators choose to only do midterm rental because short term can be stressful. But there are also many of us that choose to embrace both midterm and short term. But it doesn't work great to just see which strategy works out, because you'll get a lot of short term rental bookings in random spots that prevent you from getting a midterm rental. So the two strategies we recommend if you want to try it is to fill the gaps with short-term rentals, or turn on the short-term rentals in prime season and turn them off so that you can have midterm rentals the rest of the year.
Yep. I think that's perfect, right? You guys, you can't do short-term rental and midterm rental just willy-nilly and see how your calendar fills up. You'll just have short-term rentals, right? Because you'll have a 3-month gap and then you'll have a 2-day booking that'll take up that space for a midterm rental. So just be really thoughtful about this. It's a wonderful, great strategy, especially for those people in seasonal markets. But just make sure you put some thought into that and have a strategy that goes towards it. So, all right. Well, I think this was fantastic. I really wanted to spend some time and make sure that everybody not only understands, what's changed in our Furnished Finder calendar and why it is so important and how to use it, but also just some strategies if you feel like you want to raise your occupancy or you're looking for, okay, how else can I get people in the door, right? Or how can I up my game? We've given some really, really good tactics here and things that you can implement right away. There's nothing holding you back from starting these things. So I would just encourage everybody to get started. Pick 1 or 2 things that you want to implement in your business today and see what you can do to get going with them. Because the best course of action to increase your occupancy is to take that action.
So, reminder, we have a ton of content out there for you to improve your midterm rental business. So, make sure you're tuned in to the Landlord Diaries channel on YouTube, the Furnished Finder channel, Instagram, Facebook. We have our Facebook group of over 140,000 members that you can ask any question you'd like on there and get a ton of responses. So, stay tuned to all of our channels and especially email. We put a lot of important features and new product updates in our emails. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Share this episode with a friend, and we'll catch you again next time. Bye, everybody.